Hello, Jess. Happy Friday.
Wow, what a start.
Yeah. What do you mean, what a start?
I heard you singing before you even came on video. I loved it.
Technical errors. Look at Tom. Tom said I've been brawling. Yeah. Unfortunately, Tom, it's a little bit too much baby oil as I was a teenager. Uh, trying to look tan or burnt or sitting in a tanning bed, I guess is the best way to. Do you remember tanning beds, Jess? Those little
I do.
goggles you used to wear? Or
Yep.
did you never do that?
I did as a teenager. Yes, and like just frying in a bed seemed
Yeah,
like a very
yeah.
good idea at one time.
That's just Tom, that's just a little cancer going away. It'll be all good in a couple weeks. I'll be back to new very, very soon. Great to see everyone. Friday, January 16th. It's great to have everyone here. Meetup number 290, which is great. Um, so cool. What did someone say? Glad you addressed it. Glad you addressed it,
Yeah, you
Jason.
took care of your health.
Oh yes, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did take care of my health. But it is the funny thing is I went to the dermatologist and like, didn't your mom tell you to wear sunscreen? I'm like, I don't even know if there was sunscreen. Like it was the
Right.
opposite. It was the opposite. It was like oil
Baby
I was
oil and
using or spray in
tinfoil.
that. What's that stuff to make your hair
Sun
lighter?
in. Sun
Yeah.
in. I did
Yes.
that too.
Sun in.
I did that on this. I don't know why.
Hey, what do you think of that song?
That's good. I think we need a little bit more than love these days, but we'll start with love. Love is good. Love is
Well,
big.
why the song? This is how
Why?
we start. Why the song?
Why the song? There must be some Beatles anniversary or somebody's birthday. I'm not sure.
You're not really fun today. Okay, that song was released July 17th.
Which it's not today, but that's good to know.
Of what year?
Oh, of what year? Was it 50 years ago? No, it was released before 1975. 60 years ago. I'm really guessing.
1967.
67.
July 17th, 1967.
And you think I'm going to guess these random
No,
ass
it's not.
facts?
Hold on. Whoa. It's not random at all. What is important about July 17th?
I have zero idea.
It is Leah's wedding.
I have her invite over here somewhere.
Yes, like Leah is our
Is our producer.
producer
Okay,
today, and it's her wedding,
you
July
guys.
17th.
Do you understand, those of you watching? He literally expected me to make 7 degrees of separation between that Beatles song and Leah's wedding date.
Yeah. Okay.
I
One
love it.
more.
I love it. I almost got there.
4,368.
What's that? Days since we have known each other.
4,368 hours until she gets married.
Wow. Yep, he does keep me on my toes,
No one
Wendy.
can say I don't do my effing prep.
That's right. That is right.
I think I have too much for you today. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Enough of that.
Yeah.
Leah, I'm so happy. Yeah, the cold weather
Oh,
has frozen
dear.
my brain. I haven't even been here, Paul.
Ah,
But it's great to see everyone. Now I've worked digital meetup. Really, really excited for the show today. We are going to, for those of you new, Leah said she didn't even know that. Yes. By the way, it's
countdown.
182 days, Leah. So I hope the dress is ready. Um, I've done a lot of math here. We always, who's new? Who's new here? Holy cow, I've wasted a lot of time on Leah's wedding, but it's very important.
It is
Um,
important.
anyone new? Smador is new. She's raising her hand.
I love it.
Who
I
else is
invited
new?
her.
Wendy Fleet is new.
Who else did I have time to invite?
Wendy Fleet's
I'm
not new. Tracy Webster's very old.
Yay!
I mean, super old. It's been a while. Tracy, good to have you back. So we've changed the show a lot, Tracy. What
Mm.
we usually, since you've been gone, what we do is we invite one person on the screen to sing a verse of their favorite song. So
Come on,
Leah, if you
Tracy,
could pull
fall for it.
if you
Not
could pull
it.
if you could pull Tracy, Leah, onto the screen, she's going to sing us a verse of her favorite song.
She will decline. No kidding.
She declined. I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. My brain is my oh Vinit's here also. Nice to
Oh,
see
yay.
Vinit back. Very good to have Vinit. So we always start the same way. How's everyone? Green, yellow, red. Green, great today. Yellow, so-so. Red, not so good. Okay. Now there is a permanent haze hanging over some of us when it comes to things going on in the world, which might start us with yellow or maybe even red. Okay. But that can't be the only thing because if we're going to wait for that haze to clear, we might
Mm,
be yellow or red for a long time. So we need to make our own green if we could.
mm.
Leah connected with you 3 times today, so she's green now. Uh,
Perfect.
and by the way, Lynn, I'm sorry to hear your mom's in the hospital. Yellowish will be green after this. Let's go, McCrae. Hey, does anyone know Hal McRae?
Nope.
Jess, do you know Hal McRae?
I don't think so.
Oh my God, why can't you follow along? Hal McRae. He was a famous baseball player.
Okay.
Played
Oh,
for
look
who?
it. Richard knew it.
Who did he play for, Jess?
I can do some quick Googling, but I don't know.
Kansas City Royals.
Royals. We have a fan. We
Hey,
have
we
some
have some
KC
good, yeah,
fans.
Richard and Mark are all over this. See, we could just do
Wow.
these random things like Stump Jess all day
Dump the
and
chump, which is
see,
me.
and see what happens. Jess, how are you?
I know you don't want me to say red,
I
but
didn't. No, 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 no. There's no
there's
holding
no
back
wrong
of how
answer.
someone is. I just want to make sure that there's going to be a period of
We're
time.
all going to lift each other. Wherever
Yes,
you're starting the hour, we can promise to be in community with each other and to lift each other. I'm pretty red. Minneapolis is pretty red. Mhm. Unfortunately, things have not improved all that much since we checked in with each other last week. A parent was taken by ICE at our school bus stop a couple of days ago after her child crawled on the bus. It's not very good. It's not much to be green about. Last night was night 2 of Bailey's musical, Beauty and the Beast, her middle school musical, and we had a police officer stationed outside the door to make sure everybody knew it was safe to come in. What wild times, Jason. I could not have predicted this for Minneapolis in 2026.
it really is wild times if you think about the last 6 years in Minneapolis, between 2020 to 2026. It's crazy. It's crazy times.
Yeah, and Steve, you can relate. Portland, unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, when you live in a progressive city who is used to standing up for community, it takes this stuff happens in cities like that who are used to standing up for your neighbors and for your community. That's why it's happening here, and that's why it will keep happening in Minneapolis and Portland and similar cities. And I'm very proud of that fact that we don't let shit happen to our neighbors. Um, but man, it is not a pretty sight. It is not a pretty sight in Minneapolis. So I'm red. I'm red, but we're going to lift each other up for the next hour. And that's actually the beautiful part of all of this, too. I see this every single day. I see this every single day, how the community rises up to say, you know what, we're Minneapolis, and this is how we do things here. And that's a pretty beautiful thing to see, too, if I had to look for a silver lining in this complete bullshit atmosphere. There you go. How are you? You just got back to Minneapolis.
Yeah, low key. How do you like that?
Yeah,
Low key. Is that okay to start with? Low key
sure.
makes me very sound like a hipster, right? Low key, I'm yellow.
Okay.
And I say yellow only because there's the red and then there's the green. There's the stuff that you're doing to keep progressing your life, which is one thing. And then there's the red, which is dealing with and struggling through all of the other things that are going on in the world. So yeah, so I'm just gonna say yellow for now.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. I'll get to my why I'm green in a second as we go through our one big thing. Um, so is the Beauty and the Beast your one big thing this week,
Yes.
or do we have another one big thing? We have a
Yeah,
birthday.
that's a
I
good.
know we have a birthday in the family.
Oh gosh, yes, it's been a
That was
big
a big
week.
thing.
It has been a big week. So if you're new here, we do one big thing. Jason and I will share ours. We'd love you to share yours in the chat. Just acknowledge something from the week that was little, big, important, meaningful, whatever it was to you.
It could be an OSM also,
It could be an OSM.
which is an oh shit moment instead
Yeah.
of one big
Maybe
thing.
we should do slash. From now on, we do an OBT
OBT
or
OSM.
yeah. And they could be the same thing. Who knows? So this is one of my favorite weeks of the year because it is the middle school musical theater performance week. And I still have one middle schooler left. So Bailey is a shining star along with 60 other shining stars in Beauty and the Beast. She's a flower seller in the town. She didn't get a very big part. But she absolutely loves doing the musical. And it's a really, really well done performance. Like we really throw, in our school district, we really throw a lot of volunteer effort because it's not a very well-funded program, a lot of volunteer heart and effort behind our arts programs. Um, so it's really beautiful. Last night was night two. They have a performance tonight, two more tomorrow. I get to do hair and makeup on all of these beautiful little faces, which is my favorite role to play. So I'm like tired, but like green tired because it's super fun. I love this for these kids. And yeah, and then my middle child, Kenna, turned 15 on Tuesday. It's going really fast, as everybody warns you.
Uh, Thank you for sharing that. That's great. There
You're
are
trying to keep up with the chat.
no, I am. There are some amazing ones that so first of all, John got my latest lung MRI results and all clear. Like
Yeah.
that is amazing. Thank you. Not thank you, but I'm so glad to hear that. Chris, my parents are moving back to my town, so no more twice a week, 1.5 hour drive. My daughter received notice she made the dean's list for fall semester. That's awesome. Successfully processed 2 payrolls this week. Um, hey, it's the little things. Look at
Yes.
Opal's here.
I love it. Congrats, Opal. I saw your new role.
Oh my
Holy
God,
crap.
I almost fell out of my airplane seat when I saw her roll. Like literally, I dropped my laptop. So I'm so excited for your new role, Opal. Congratulations. Uh, Lance is going to the Blazers Lakers game. That sounds so much fun. Living the startup dream of all 3 colors in a day. That is funny, Vineet. That is for
So
sure.
accurate.
Made my first loaf of sourdough. Wow. Yeah, my wife Heather has this oh Heather, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. But my
Yay.
wife Heather, as I was saying, Heather has a sourdough thing. What do you call it?
A
A thing.
starter. I don't know what
Starter.
it's
Yeah,
called.
starter. A starter. So when you start to do that, it's really, really we need to
Leah, I
chat
feel
about
like
that.
this
I
is
am
like
on
the
my second.
new bandwagon to jump on.
Sourdough. Yeah,
Yeah.
Leah, text Heather. She'll talk to you all about her sourdough. Uh, Shruti said she did an amazing yin yoga flow, which you know
Mm,
how good I am at talking about yoga, Jess. You know exactly what that is. I have no idea. But sounds awesome.
so good.
Do you know yin yoga flow?
Yes. I
Okay.
do way too much yoga.
Yeah, the other day I asked Jess, well, I think I said this last week. The other day I asked Jess if she was going to the gym, and she goes, if I was at the gym anymore, I would do an address change card. Bob, 100th podcast. That is a one big thing.
Nice.
Congratulations. I
Bob,
had,
it
I
is
just,
hard to do something. Jason and I know this. It is, and so does our guest today, Steve. It's hard to do something consistently, literally consistently. Like it's easy to go out with something with intensity and let it fizzle out and go away. Consistency beats intensity all day long. And so congratulations. I appreciate how much that takes.
So I have three one big things, and I'm going to go quick because we have
Three
to get
big
on to
things.
our guest.
Yeah.
The first one is my little guy, Alex, has been sick all week, missed school.
Mm.
He's feeling better today, and he's got color back. So the flu's been nasty. I say little guy, he's 18
Yep.
and bigger than me. But yeah, so I'm glad he's feeling better. My second big thing is Claude co-work.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to say any more about it. We're gonna announce a webinar on that tool as well as Lovable in the next week or so for everyone in the community. So when we put that out, you can join. But it is an amazing tool, and it's it's a whole new ChatGPT moment for me. So the
Wow.
moment that I saw ChatGPT, I said, "Wow, this is going to change everything." Claude Cowork, exactly the same in magnitude, which is crazy to me. And then the third thing is that I had an opportunity to work with 22 amazing students last night in Charleston, South Carolina on their personal brand. And
Oh.
I have to say, I left the class feeling like the world was going to be all right.
Mm.
Um, Not only did they do a brilliant job on their personal brand, but they're empathetic, they're sympathetic, and they're very, very loving people. So they're the opposite of what's driving a lot of our world views today, and it just gives me a lot of optimism. So those are my three one big things. Did I miss any
They're
others,
all
guys?
voters. I hope all of those students are voters.
Yeah, that's what. Yes,
I agree.
exactly.
There's great mindset and optimism and lots of things to be excited about, especially when you
Tracy's down
have.
30 pounds.
I know, look at that.
That's awesome, Tracy.
Wow.
Congratulations. Yeah, the sticking with one big thing is really, really hard. I made a commitment. I've shared it a couple times on this that I was gonna like do this whole 10,000 steps thing, which is so funny. So I got to the Charleston airport at 4 a.m. this morning,
Yeah.
and literally instead of sitting down or going to a club or Chick-fil-A, which I was tempted to do this morning, I sat and walked the airport back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So now, like today, I'm finally up to today's my 315th day of 10,000 steps in a row.
Wow.
315, that's a freaking long time.
That
And,
is
and
amazing.
yeah, and now I just have, I mean, I don't know what that means. I don't know like if I'm going to live longer or what it is, but 50 days left. Now I gotta at least make it a year at this point, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, anyway, it's just interesting when you don't sit down anymore and just walk and walk and walk and walk and walk.
Well, if you ever get close to missing a day, can you just like sit in place and move your whatever your tracker is, just wave it around, even if you're
That
not
would be
walking?
cheating, Jess. It was funny. I have to do tell you, I'll tell you one a one quick story. I was out trying in Minneapolis. We have, oh, my daughter's coming back from a semester abroad. That's awesome. Put the
Yeah.
tracker on your dog's collar. That is a good one. Uh, we have had so much ice here in Minneapolis. The other day I was out scraping the driveway,
Mhm.
trying to get this ice off before it freezes again, like it's going to this weekend for those of you in the
Oh,
Midwest.
that'd be so cool.
And literally I came in, it's like, you just finished 45 minutes of field hockey.
That
My app said. I was like, nope, that was just
sounds
shoveling the
good.
driveway. I guess it's the same motion, but
Yeah.
anyway, all good. Uh, Great endurance, Lynn. I've built up great endurance. Yes, I have. I ever walked around the kitchen at 11:50? Paul, I'm not going to even talk about that. A couple times.
That's a yes.
A couple times I have. A couple times I have. Let's bring out our guest, Jess. We've been waiting too long. I've taken too much time. Thank you guys for joining for that first 20 minutes. I know some people just fast forward right through it, but for me, it's love
Yeah.
to talk to you guys and share some stories with you.
Oh,
Mr. Steve Smith,
Jason Averbook, how you doing, sir? Just
the
fine, man. Good to
one
see
and
you.
only. Now,
one and
Jess,
only.
look at the volume of books
I
Steve
know.
Smith has behind him compared to the volume of books you have behind you compared to the volume of books I have behind me. What does that tell you in one word?
I bet he's read them all too.
That's more like
Oh, if only that were true.
intelligence, Jess. Intelligence.
Intelligent. I
Well,
am
it's
an
this.
avid book collector. I order books probably at least once a week. I'm ordering something new. Getting them all read is the next challenge.
That
Well,
is a beautiful book collection.
well, thank you. It's you gotta, even if you don't think you're gonna read it immediately, you have to buy it. And
Yeah.
you know that if you get trapped in the house, you always get something to turn to. You don't need streaming. You just have a book.
Yes, Jessica, I agree. And I am still a physical book collector. I do like a physical book.
Good on
Except that
you.
I'm the annoying one on the airplane at night who needs to put my button on because a Kindle would be really helpful at that moment for
No,
reading.
that's an acceptable reason to put on a light on
Yes.
a plane at night. There are others, not so much. That
Well,
one,
like once
yes.
or twice that I've ever flown with you, all you've done is snore.
Oh, right.
Just kidding. Steve, what's up? How's day? Friday.
Friday's good. We launched the first episode of the Work Tech Weekly podcast today. Been
Nice.
recording a lot of episodes, and so it's I've been talking to a lot of interesting people, and I'm glad to add to that list with y'all today.
It's a good way
Well,
to spend
like,
Fridays.
if you don't have a podcast, then what are you?
I know, right? Everyone's got a podcast.
I'm just kidding. Tom just put a shameless plug in for Belmont Books.
Ooh, I love it, Tom.
So thank you, Tom, for putting that link in there. So Steve, tell us about the podcast and what else you're up to.
So the podcast is just something I've always wanted to do, and finally just decided to kind of take the plunge. Joined our good friend Mary Ellen Slater at RepCap here a couple of months back, and we have a fantastic podcast producer in house named Michael Thibodeau, and I get to work with him. He's usually using his talents for the benefit of our clients, but he made a little bit of time for me, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. And yeah, so that's been great. It's been fun joining the team. My colleague Lance Hahn, who I think is on
Hmm.
the chat. I saw him pop up. I'm sure he
Like a
will.
who's who, rock
Yeah,
stars.
and Tony Spangler. So yeah, we've got some good folks over there, and we're doing some fun stuff.
So you guys are great at branding. That's one of the things that I think that you guys are great at is telling stories and branding. So in 5 seconds or less, tell me what a rep cap is.
A RepCap is a content marketing consultancy that focuses on content these days in the age of AI. And it's just like, yeah, you can have your Chat GPT write just about anything for you. Is it any good? No. And so we're seeing a lot more companies come to that realization and bring the humans into the equation. So it's a really fun time to be involved in content and be involved in what's going on in the world of workplace technology.
You work with a lot of vendors, right, in the
Oh
space?
yeah, tons, tons.
Okay. So give me a sense as to if I would say, if I give you three options that the vendors are like racing to truly create amazing, amazing things. That's first option. Second, they're putting lipstick on a pig. Third, they're sitting still.
Mm.
Where would you say they are?
Can I choose D, all of the above? I think that
Yeah, that's a good answer.
you're seeing all of those dynamics play out at the same time. I think that what's interesting is you're seeing a lot of really interesting early stage innovation taking place, and I think that there's going to be. I think we're seeing the next generation of great tech and great brands emerging
Mm.
right now. You're also seeing some established players that are really responding to the moment and developing some innovative tech. But then I think that there's also a lot of companies that are out there that took a lot of money in 20 and 21 and 22 that are then they're in a lot of ways stuck, and you see a lot of folks scrambling to find a next step or an exit. So it's a very fragmented market right now, and there's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of in between, and just quite frankly a lot of bad out there too.
So Steve, naming vendors, Cindy just put in the chat which vendors are leading the way. And I realize that sometimes that's hard as in your business to be naming vendors because, some are clients, some aren't clients, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to name vendors, you can. But another way to answer that question for me is let's say that we're going to talk about those leading the parade. What are some characteristics of those leading the parade that we could talk to if we don't want to talk about specific vendors? I'm open to
Yeah,
either, but
I'm happy to talk about specific vendors because
okay.
I'd probably talk to more vendors than I'm ever possibly going to work with. And, like I think, a company that I'm really interested in right now for what they're doing is UKG. I think that they're doing some really interesting, I think, almost reinvention of the brand. And I've been very impressed with the moves they're making, and especially this emphasis on the frontline workforce. And I think that what we've seen in our work is just like white collar professional jobs have had a majority of the emphasis on the technology, and I think that the people on the front line who are doing the work, on the factory floor, in the warehouses, out in the field, have not had the level of innovation to support them. And I think you're seeing a lot of that coming into play. And so seeing UKG really kind of go front facing with, frontline workforce, I was really encouraged to see that and feel like, Jennifer Morgan and her team there are doing some really, they're making a lot of good moves there. So they're not a client. I'm just a big fan of what they do.
Nice.
I
Any
think that's a
others?
good
Oh, sorry.
Well, I think that's a good example because something they're doing is providing clarity. They're being very, very clear and concise, lest anyone mistake their strategy and their focus and their chosen lane. And I think a lot of vendors make the mistake of wanting to be everything to everyone, and that's costly. It's time intensive. It's kind of a disservice to the market. Like pick a favorite child if you must. But focus and clarity is extraordinarily difficult for vendors, and I'm not sure why.
No, I totally agree. I think that there's this perception that they don't want to limit their options. It's just like, yeah, we
Yeah.
can do all of those things. But I think that, I guess like the cliche goes, if you're trying to be all things to all people, you become, nothing to everybody. So it's just like, I think that that focus is something that at this kind of point in time and point in the market is, as you pointed out, highly underrated.
The UKG is, I mean, except since we're talking about them just really quickly, I mean, I wasn't planning on it. Jess and I are doing a session at Unleash this year, pre-conference workshop on AI and how to use AI tools and how to build the mindset needed for AI. And we had a call with UKG yesterday. I was like, well, how much do you want me to talk about UKG versus just what's right for the world? And they're like,
Right.
no, we want what's right for the world. We don't want you to talk about UKG. So I like the fact that was really refreshing also that they're trying to make the world a better place and trying to make our profession a better place, not just sell more product. So
Well, and you know what that speaks to? That speaks to a lot of organizational confidence. They
Yeah.
are very confident in, what they're doing and their approach, and they don't feel the need to make it me, 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 because I think that speaks to insecurity
Yeah.
organizationally.
Steve, what do you, oh, sorry, Jess, were you gonna say something? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm responding to Tracy.
Oh,
Tracy got the same advice. Pick. It's great advice.
Steve, what are you seeing from U.S. vendors versus outside the United States vendors? There's, I mean, it's much easier. F How do I say this? N Physically, I guess, to hang your shingle up in a country that you're not in. Having the ability to execute in that
Mhm.
country is a whole different thing. So we see a lot of vendors coming from different countries trying to enter the US and vendors in the US trying to enter other countries. And I think that's really difficult.
Mhm.
But I'd love your perspective on that.
Well, I'm really excited about international work tech right now because I think that, you go back 15 or 20 years, pretty much HR tech or work tech was what was going on in the U.S. market, and I think that the rest of the world has really made great strides, and they've caught up in a lot of ways. I think that a lot of what's going on exciting internationally is in some ways more exciting what's going on in the U.S. And so I think that
Mm.
where it's valuable is I think in the the global workplace, you need to bring those international perspectives in, and I think that that's always been the challenge with like U.S. vendors going out to the rest of the world is they're essentially bringing their U.S. perspectives, and culturally those don't always play. From a go-to-market perspective, that was always the risk. It's just like, oh, we're going to run the same playbook we did in the U.S. in France or in Australia or in Germany, and it doesn't translate. And so by the same token, it's just like I've been very interested in seeing a lot of these international companies coming into the U.S. A lot of great companies coming out of France. Well, heck, Belgium. You have TechWolf has gotten a lot of great buzz and has really kind of done a lot to kind of disrupt the skills data conversation. I think it's refreshing, and I think in a lot of ways it's gonna force a lot of U.S. vendors to up their game.
I totally agree. I've seen some great vendors out of India that have
Yeah, Darwin
amazing
Box.
yeah, they have amazing tech that I'd say just don't know how to position it yet
Yeah.
Mm.
for our market. I've definitely met some amazing vendors out of Israel
Hmm.
um, that have Israel's like a hidden hotbed of tech development. Um, so I mean, I think there's a ton of stuff out there. I'm going to be doing something in Amsterdam in April with HR Tech, the HR Tech conference in the startup space, and they're sold out as far as the number of new startups that are out there, which is really exciting.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of international innovation that's going to come into the U.S. market, and just from a just like as U.S. vendors make the mistake of trying to run the same playbook, the playbook
Mhm.
that like if you're coming out of Europe into the U.S., it doesn't necessarily translate. So like I mean, for instance, years ago, I had the opportunity to work with Jerome Turnick at Smart
Yeah.
Recruiters right when they were starting out, and one of the things that he knew from his background was just like what we're doing in Europe isn't necessarily going to translate into the U.S. And so I really need to engage with folks in the U.S. to do it right. I think that that's the most common mistake I see with international companies coming in the U.S. Just thinking, oh, we're going to do it the same way, and it's just a much different kind of go-to-market environment.
I love that. I love Jerome. Thank you for reminding me how much I loved uh, him creating. One thing I think smart recruiters did really well, and I think it was Jerome in particular, was create ownable language in a space that you didn't think had any unique ownable language left. It's recruiting tech. But he
Yeah,
really changed some of the concepts, like time to hire, had everybody thinking about time to velocity and how you measure. Like it's not cost per, who cares about cost per hire? There,
right.
it's worth every penny if. And he literally changed like the thinking about how you measure success in a niche like that. In a niche, back to niche, like own your niche, including ownable language within it.
Yeah, and I mean then and you look at how that company was able to evolve and scale and just like that acquisition by SAP is I think that was a brilliant acquisition because I think that what they had done with AI and how they had really kind of rethought the entire talent acquisition stack is I mean I think that that's going to pay a lot of benefits to SAP going forward. That was but also just a signal of just it's hard to evolve over a 15-year period as a company, and I think that Smart Recruiters did it incredibly well.
So Steve, what do you think about on my individual podcast yesterday, I had a gentleman, Al D, who I think you know, on, and Al, covers the talent and learning space quite a bit. And we had a really fascinating conversation about middle managers
Hmm.
and how leadership in organizations is trying to stay alive, how employees are trying to stay alive. And if we think about the HR tech, work tech space, there hasn't been a lot of
Mm.
stuff for middle managers, except, it's what, January 16th, and I'm just finishing my performance reviews and comp cycles, for my day job here.
Right.
And like, I wouldn't call those tools for me, really. I'd call those HR tools that I'm using, not tools for me. So
Right.
when you talk about work tech, which is what you talk, the way you started our conversation, is that what you mean when you say work tech um,
Versus HR tech.
versus HR tech?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question. I think that it's kind of a multi-part answer. I think that in part is that when I think about HR tech traditionally, it was sort of those things you're talking about. It's back office technology that is not necessarily about how do I do my job work, or how do I do my work and my job better, front of office or on the line. It was more about how do I check the boxes that I need to check so people get paid, so time and attendance gets taken care of, which are important, but less about actually getting work done. And I think that you're seeing a lot of solutions that had traditionally been HR tech really kind of um, take on more of that. How do I help people, in the office or on the front line actually get work done? And so that's how I would sort of draw that distinction. But when you talk about middle managers specifically, I think that we're at a period where it seems like middle management's just being cut out and thrown away. It's perceived as
Mhm.
not important. And I think that's a mistake. And I think that, when you think about underserved populations, in the workplace. I think that managers have such an incredibly difficult job, and I think that at its best, and what it could be with whether you call it HR tech or work tech, if it can support managers to spend more meaningful time with employees, it's less about like, okay, so how am I on my OKRs, and more about, okay, so let's have a conversation about you and how you improve, in your role and can prepare to take the next step in your career. And I think that that's what I think people are really hungry for. And it's so hard to do when that's one of 475 things you have to do during the week. And so if if whether it's AI coming into the workplace or just evolutions in technology can take more of the tactical and administrative functions out and really allow more human to human time, I think that that's a win for everybody.
So, Steve, I think it gives us permission, and this goes back to Tom's question in the
Mhm.
chat, which I love, by the way. How do you see AI? Here's the question, and here, let me finish what I was going to say, and then I'd love your response, and Jess as well. How do you
Mhm.
see AI playing a role in assessing, keyword, workers based on what they produce, keyword, whether it's code, contracts, spreadsheets, presentations? So, Tom, my take on that is that we are going to stop assessing based on what they produce, and we will start evaluating based on the outcome that it generates. And I think that's what gives us, I think work tech gives us a permission to go away from ratings of 1, 2, or 3, or ratings of 1 to 5, and doing compensation and really getting into what is the outcome of the work? What is the outcome of the code? Did it generate more sales? What is the outcome of the presentation? Did I win or lose a pitch? Did a manager decide to make comp decisions better or worse based on a presentation that I created? I hope, Tom, that we measure based on not the product, but that we measure based on the outcome and the economic value going forward. I think one of the problems with HR tech and performance in the way we assess today is we're assessing for HR's sake instead of for work's sake. Steve, sorry, that was
Yeah,
kind of
I totally agree with that. And I think that it's interesting because this actually touches on a conversation that I had recently with Dustin Clenard, who's running a startup called Ignis AI. And just the assessment space. I mean, it's you have these some of these assessments that are 10, 20, 50 years old. There's a ton of science behind them. But I think that one of the questions is, have we been measuring the right things? Are we measuring the right things for the workplace of today. And what Ignis is doing that I think is fascinating is it is measuring AI fluency and AI capability. So it's just like,
Mhm.
we've had this conversation for 15 or 20 years about STEM skills and hard skills, and you've seen the shelf life of skills go from 5 to 7 years to it seems like 5 to 7 months. But are we measuring the right things for, AI fluency when you think about things like creativity? That's something that if you're needing to write a really great prompt, and so like I know my colleague Lance Hahn is on the conversation here, that guy can write some really amazing prompts that are like this long that get some amazing results. That's creativity. And I think that there's a lot of skills that aren't necessarily what we would think of as like traditional hard skills that are more, and I hate to say soft skills, but just more in the realm of emotional intelligence or what you learned if you were like me a liberal arts major. It's those kind of skills that I think are actually more important in the age of AI. And I think the way that we assess those and measure them are even more important than ever.
Yeah, Jess, I'd love your thoughts on that. And I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
read, I don't know if you read Heather's comment, because I think
Did.
it's very important what she stated as
Well,
well.
I do think, I mean, AI changes the work conversation in a lot of ways. And one of them is around performance, like how you measure the value of a worker
Mhm.
really changes because work used to be doers and delegators. You were either the person doing the task or you were the manager delegating work out to all of the doers. And we would measure people by how well they did all of their assigned tasks. Well, now that you farm out the vast majority of that work as much as possible to AI that can handle it better, delegating and doing, my gosh, if that's not a playing, field for AI. So now that all of that work shifts, then how are we actually measuring the impact value outcomes, if you will, of the people we still need to do other things? And it's that redefinition. What are the other things we want people to be doing? And how do we measure the worth and value of that? And to Heather's point, we've never pulled the thread far enough through to say, well, if my job used to be making PowerPoint presentations, so are those selling more product? You have to pull the thread further through to say, I'm making good enough material to create better positioning to sell us more product at the end of the day.
Yeah,
We
and
need to
Heather,
figure out how
yeah,
to measure that.
and Heather, I love your comment. But so two things. First of all, I completely agree with what Jess said. We have to pull that thread. And by the way, we finally have enough thread to do that.
Right.
Without keeping
Possible.
back the thread. We actually have data and ways to integrate data and connect data to be able to tie activities to outcomes like we've never been able to before. But the other thing I just want to say, work is not working today. Okay.
Agreed.
And I mean, I will drop the mic and hang up after that, but it is not working. We have more people disengaged. We have more people that don't trust their boss. We have more people that don't trust their company. And we have more people that are frustrated with the performance management process than ever before. Ever before. And they're getting 0.6% increases. It's not work is not working today. So
Right.
while I'm concerned also, Heather, about what you said, I'm also very concerned about if we don't push the envelope and try to move towards outcomes, we're just going to be the most disengaged group of sloths that have existed in a long time.
And
But
I
some
think
of
what
it's
you're
it. No, go ahead, Jess.
Well, I think what you're saying there, when we shift the conversation to outcomes, we're asking people to understand the why instead of just what, do, what for the sake of what. So that's leadership pressure. Then explain what people should be doing instead and give them the why. Like you have to paint the picture, give some vision that is different than the vision before, because people have, this is a lack of redirection in my mind. But Steve, I'd love you to jump back in.
I think it is a lack of redirection, but it's also, I think, a lack of focus. One of the things that I remember from, and this is a bit of a time machine moment. a conversation that I think I had with you, Jason, the first time I talked to you. This is like 15, 16 years.
1964.
Yeah, 1964. No, it's when you were at Knowledge Infusion, and I was talking to you and Jason Corsello, and we had this conversation about one of your clients and what they were measuring about, how do you change things? And it wasn't like we're going to measure all these things. It was a company that was in, I think, the casino space. He said we looked at it, and like the one thing that makes a difference in their business performance is what is the time does it take from a drink to get ordered to get to the customer?
Yep.
And when that no, when that number is okay, everything else in the business is working, and when it's not, things aren't working in the business. And so it's just like that really stuck with me, Jason, because it's just like the problem is not that we aren't measuring enough or we're not doing enough. It's we're not measuring the right things. We're not focusing on the right things to measure. And I think that if it's just like it's what how do we get down to the thing that is really important? And I think that that's what's driving disengagement today. It's just like, okay, business is moving faster than ever. You're asking me to do more shit than ever. I can't do it. I shut down. And it's just like I think that if we could direct people and just say, look, here's what's important. Let's focus on that. And I think that that level of clarity could be really beneficial. As Heather pointed out, yes, you do have to be careful what you measure.
But I think the thing that's really important about that is, and Steve, back to your example, that same CEO of a casino, who I'm still friends with, they, as the world has continued to change, what their number one measure of success is right now is how fast the valet gets your car back to you. It's not how fast you get the drink, but how fast your valet gets the car back to you, because they know if it's slow, you're not going to go back to that casino. Okay.
No.
So, and they can tell based on the speed in which you get your car back, what your revenue per player is that you're spending on machines, and how many bottles of $15 water that you're buying in Vegas. So,
Well, isn't it crazy how that changed over time, though?
yeah,
Wow.
it's
The
crazy how it
focus.
changed over time, but it's great that there's still, I mean,
Yes.
betting and gambling and those, they're so analytical about stuff, which is why it's crazy to think about that. But all of that being said, how do I get to the other side of the equation, which is the revenue or the profit or the customer sat or the student sat or the grades or whatever it is that matter most? I
Hmm.
think that's where we're going with all of this, and we
And
have
to
to be.
Michelle's point, validate before you're constantly shifting and trying
Yeah.
something new. Maybe it was working and you didn't give yourselves enough time to measure, which is the other exciting part about AI. We like to, complain about all the things that it's going to screw up and get wrong, but think about what it gets right. Time to measure and actually know, like, there's no excuse anymore. Insights should be so real time, which solves a little bit of what you're saying, Michelle. How do you know it's working or not working? That distance is evaporating pretty quickly.
Steve, why do people like to complain about all the things that AI is going to screw up or mess up that Jess just said?
One of the it's fear. It's fear because of a lack of trust. I think that one of the things I'm most interested in right now is this uh, trust dynamic. I think that it's interesting because we kind of in the tech space we talk about AI one way, and we talk about it almost as if agentic AI is pervasive and everyone's using it all the time. But when you actually look at how it's, what's the level of adoption in the workforce, you don't see that. I mean, I think that what you're seeing may be less than 10%, probably more like 7 or 8% adoption and penetration. And part of that is you can point to company leadership not making the right moves fast enough. But I think that there's also a lot of employee level resistance of why should I adopt something that's going to take my job away from me or take away, is going to measure me in the wrong ways. And before I know it, I'm out of work. And I think that what's interesting is when I talk to people who aren't even in the industry, like, I'm going to get a haircut tomorrow, and I've been going to the same barber for 8 years. And this guy is like a total gearhead. He like fixes cars and stuff like that. But the thing we talk about most is AI. And he's like, AI scares me. He's like, I don't trust it. I'm glad I'm in an occupation that I can't get disintermediated by it. It's not going to replace me. But I think that you see a lot of fear of what AI is going to do. And I think that that lack of trust is what is probably as much of a disengagement driver in the workplace as anything right now, in my opinion, Jason.
I think that's a huge conversation. And to flip the coin, another way to solve this would be to paint a picture of life being better on the other side. Like, even if I don't trust something, if something is so easy, fun, intuitive, and actually, like, I think people don't actually see how it's making their lives any better at work.
Exactly.
We're rolling out tools that just feel like another tool, and it didn't actually make my job any more fun, make me feel more valuable or impactful. It didn't make me, maybe it shaved a few seconds off a task I used to perform. Great. But like, I think you could solve the trust problem a number of different ways. And one of them is actually provide value to people. Paint
No,
that
no, that
picture.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Like I have a client currently, and I wish I could talk about them, but their technology still isn't public for another month or two. But I mean, they're a big company, and was looking at going through their demos and working with them on that. And the thing that jumped out at me and what I told them was it's just like what is noteworthy about your application of AI is if I am an end user of your solution, I see how I'm getting value. You're making my life better. I'm getting value out of this, and it's not something to be afraid of. You're actually taking the fear out of it, and I think that you're starting to see those kind of applications and use cases that are coming into AI in the workplace. But I still think that those are not quite as universal and pervasive as they need to be to do that thing you're talking about,
I mean,
Jess.
Steve, that's exactly right. And I think what's really important, and Michelle made a comment in the chat, the adoption on the consumer side has been very, very rapid. Okay. How did I figure out Leah's birth or Leah's wedding and how many days and what song to play and things like that? Like a very simple voiced conversation with a tool. Now, on the other on the other side of this is the discussion that those organizations or those people that aren't familiar with these tools, like I think those organizations, and I said this on the podcast that just got dropped yesterday, and I'll say it again. I think they're going to be in hospice before we know it. And it's a
Yeah,
terrible way to say it, and I apologize if it's not very politically correct, but I just don't see how anyone's going to exist.
yeah,
And I truly mean that. Like for Michelle, in your comment where it said, I was in a meeting where the presenter indicated that we weren't going to be an early adopter at our company. Well, you've already missed that window, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah.
Like you're not an early adopter at this point anyway, for sure. A and B, like you are not going to survive as a company. So all of that said, that's where we have to take um, our brains to figure out where we're going to work. And I'm not the guy that's like we need to be 100% AI. That's not what I'm saying. Okay,
Yeah.
but just it's like saying, hey, guess what? We're going to be the company that doesn't turn on the lights ever, even when it's dark outside. Or we're going to be the company that decides not to do electricity. Or we're going to be the company that decides not to let cell phones in. Or we're going to be the company that decides to limit how many copies you can make. Like this has happened before, over and over again. It's us as humans saying, how do we harness the technology in a way that best meets the outcomes we're trying to achieve?
But this
Well,
is, Jason, I agree, but this is the laziest storytelling I've ever seen in my life around AI. Like imagine if I created a product that's so amazing and I think the world really needs it and so many people will really benefit from it. And my go to market for this product is use it or don't. I don't care. Like get left behind then at your own, like imagine if that was the way I brought an incredible new invention to market. Like it or don't. I don't care. Get left behind. That's up to you. That's how you market something you think is life changing and world evolving. This is the laziest storytelling I've ever seen around AI. I think everybody can do a much better job.
Okay.
Totally agree.
Tell me the story. Tell me the story. Tell me the story, Jess.
I'm going to make your life better, and here's how. Start there. Everybody who has AI in your product, I'm going to make your life better, and here's how. That's the story. I don't see enough of that. And I take not as many briefings as Steve. I see a lot of product, and I have to stop demos and say, I get all the features, you guys. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I see it. I get all the features. Tell me what this is actually doing for people at the end of the day.
This is
And I
like
think that,
change is the strategy, not the enemy.
Yes.
Similar concept, right?
Yes.
well, and I think that some of that is as AI becomes less visible and it just kind of does things. I think that's part of it. But that to your point about change is the enemy, Jason. I think that from an employee or an end user standpoint, I think that part of the fear factor is if you, and I can say this because unlike you two, I'm a person of a certain age. And, if you've been in the workplace for a while, it's just like you have your way of doing things and you don't want to adapt or change. And adaptation and change is not optional anymore. And it's just like we all have to embrace learning lots of new ways of doing things and lots of new skills. And it's going to be, constant and ongoing. And there are a lot of people who are just not on board with that. And I think that that's, the, I think that a lot of people are looking at AI as the enemy. It's that. It's just like I don't want to have to adapt to this level of change.
Yeah. I mean, this is a leadership opportunity. It's a storytelling opportunity, all of that, but this is a leadership opportunity. I tell the story about my mom all the time. 40 years as a nurse, direct patient care. She hated technology, checking people into telepatient appointments and stuff like that. She wanted to see her patients, touch her patients, work directly with her providers in real conversations. But once she understood that more people could receive a higher level of care using some of these tools she was being trained on, she could get on board with that. So don't sell people on tech, sell people on impact and value. This is a leadership miss. And I think, oh my gosh, I would love to see this evolve, even a percentage this year. And I think we'll stop talking about fear of change and, bad pilots gone south. Like we're completely missing the boat because we're missing the story.
Excellent point.
Jason.
Mic
Jason,
drop.
I was the one that got riled up at the end. Sorry,
Mic drop.
sorry.
Exactly. Mic drop. Mic drop. We'll
Usually
end
we
on
wait
Opal's.
the whole hour just to rile Jason up at the very end, and then he pulls the pin out of a grenade.
We'll end on Opal's quote. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change.
Yeah, great quote.
Agree.
Steve, thank you so much for being here. The time always flies when you do these things.
Thank you for having me. It was a great conversation. It's good to break it all down with y'all.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. What's the best way for people to find you?
Find me on LinkedIn, Stephen Wade Smith. Visit the RepCap website at repcap.com or look up Work Tech Weekly, newsletter on LinkedIn, or podcast on your podcast platform of choice.
That's great. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Jess.
Good weekend, everybody.
Jess, enjoy Beauty and the Beast.
I will. Thank you.
Talk to you, everyone.